All right, we're going to talk about energetic polarity. Energetic polarity. And this is something that I've spoken about before, briefly. And what I'm going to reference here is an idea pioneered by Paul Young, known as the anima and the animus. Now, the basic idea of the anima and the animus is that within male, female, right? You have these two energies, male, female. You have two people, male, female. Within the male, masculine energy, you have a hidden feminine energy that wants to be expressed, that wants to be nurtured, that wants to be seen. And on the vice versa, in the female, you have a masculine energy that wants to be seen, that wants to be nurtured, that wants to be cared for, etc. And that wants to be seen. So in the man, you have feminine aspects, and in the women, you have masculine aspects. But it's a complementary aspect. It's not the primary aspect. It's a complementary aspect. And we run into problems when those aspects shift and the masculine in the woman becomes the primary and the feminine in the man becomes the primary, which is basically the whole point of where we are culturally in the West right now. We're exploring these things. People are exploring these things. That's why you see guys like wearing nail polish. That's why you see this whole like gender discussion and debate and all these things, because all these polarities are inverted. And that happened for a reason that I'm not going to get into this video. But you have to understand that those energies have been inverted. And they're pushing that inversion. There is a greater agenda to push that inversion and to keep that inversion. Now, the reason I'm speaking on this is for two reasons. You'll never feel quite whole and quite healthy when the inverted aspect is the primary aspect. So when the feminine in the man is the primary in the man, and when the masculine in the woman is the primary, it's never gonna feel quite whole. It's never gonna feel quite there and healthy because it's not supposed to. That's not the reason why it's there. You have to align those energies with what you are. Me, I came from a matriarchal dominated family. My grandmother, my great grandmother, my mother, etc. Right? They ran shit. And what happens when you grow up in this environment as a boy is that you get those inverted qualities from too much maternal exposure, too much matriarchal, too much feminine exposure, right? And what happens is that breeds insecurity to some degree. I'm gonna get into the flip side. So on the flip side of that, you might have a girl, right? A girl who grows up in a very patriarchal, masculine environment. So what happens and why you get in and why you see these toxic relationships? Because it all comes down to relationships. It all comes down to family structure, building a healthy family, creating a healthy family environment, and how the dynamic of that relationship sits. But how the dynamic of that relationship sits depends on the energetic polarities of the two individuals involved in that relationship. So what happens and what is happening in the US and in the West is that we have a collective on both sides where those qualities are inverted and that leads to problems. And the reason that is because the opposites attract, right? Feminine is attracted to masculine just as much as masculine is attracted to feminine. So what happens when you have a woman with the primarily masculine energy and the man with the primary feminine energy is that those energies attract each other. So the feminine aspect in the man is going to be attracted to the masculine aspect in the woman. Why that is because of insecurity. Those two feel that they lack that energy which they see in the other. So the woman in her masculine polarity seeks out feminine energy because she feels that she lacks feminine energy and she's insecure about that on the subconscious, unconscious level. And vice versa. The man in his feminine energy seeks out a woman in her masculine energy due to insecurity and feeling of lack that he's lacking in masculine energy. And so subconsciously they see those things in each other like, but it doesn't come out that way. It doesn't come out like, oh, I'm attracted to your feminine energy. Oh, I'm attracted to your masculine energy, right? But that's how it comes across when you actually start to do the work. So for example, when I just started learning about all these things, right? And I was in a toxic relationship for both parties. You got to understand that you have to let those energies proliferate in environments that are conducive to that energy. So I'm going to give you an example. I used to be very big on cooking and like culinary arts and all these things, right? This is just one second, one context, one environment. And when I got in a relationship, I used to get excited about cooking, like making all these nice like meals and all these things and like, natural. But you have to understand, and this is not a sexist thing. This is not a sexist thing. The culinary arts, that draws feminine energy because it's creative, it's artsy, it's all these things, right? And so that draws out the feminine. And when I started understanding this concept better, I ran an experiment. where I know that I can cook up some fire shit, all right? I'm actually was a professional chef when I was a kid. And I know that I can get in the kitchen and whip up some good shit, all right? But when you're in a relationship like that, you have to let your girl do feminine things for you. The feminine likes to give, and the masculine likes to receive. So when it comes to things like nurturing, like food, I had to take a step back from that to let my girl do that, to be in her feminine, to try to re-invert those energetic polarities into the correct position, to let her be the girl, to let her be the feminine, to let her do the thing, and realign that aspect in which she felt insecure subconsciously. And I did this for a while. I stopped cooking. I stopped getting big on the things. I was like, you know what? Hey, you take care of it. You know what? Do your thing. do your thing. And you should see how excited she got. We're gonna make some fucking pancakes. We're gonna make some fucking, muffins and shit like that. Boom. Energy back inverted into the correct position. Energy back inverted. And that triggered something for me. I was like, oh shit. What else do I need to do to re-invert those energies back into the correct position? And this is where the topic of masculine and feminine frame comes into picture. But a lot of this is based on Jung's anima and animus's work. So that's just one scenario. That's just one case scenario. But that extends into lifestyle scenarios. Situations like, you know, thinking and feeling. Thinking is masculine, feeling is feminine. Feminine has a lot to do with the unknown, with the abstract world, the intuition, the abstract, these ideas that are not concrete, that are not tangible, that are not logical, which has its own merit and own value and own truths. And the masculine deals with a very rational, objective, here, 2 plus 2, this logical thinking world. So thinking and feeling, all right? When you get in a situation where your girl has to start thinking, you place her in a masculine frame. She doesn't want to fucking think, bro. Because that takes her out of her feminine essence of being, of feeling in the moment. So back to the greater context of this whole gender situation going on in the West, right? When we talk about like gender equality, gender pay, etc., like that. Now you got your girl in a situation where she's thinking about the bills, where she's thinking about your future, where she's thinking about all these things that keep taking her outside of her feminine energy. And she is going to resent you for that just as much as you will deep down subconsciously resent her if you are being put in your feminine energy. And the reason why people don't work on this is two things: familiarity and uncomfortability. People like what feels familiar. And people don't like what feels uncomfortable, even if it's right. And what has been going on in the West, it has been generations in the making. If you watch Yuri Bezmenov was a Russian KGB infiltrator, and he worked on like subversion, all right, ideological subversion. And he spoke about this. He spoke about how since the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the US has been under this ideological subversion tactics. All right, so there's been generations in the making to invert these energies and these polarities, which is why we have these big fucking debates today. But people are going to stick with what feels familiar. So in a feminized, masculine, and a masculinized, feminine society, the men stick with what's familiar, which is matriarchal domination. So they're going to stick to that energy because it feels familiar. So you're going to see, the guys are taking back seats on decision making. The guys are taking back seats on all the things where they should be leading, right? All these leadership positions, all these things. And then now you're seeing all the women step up. You're seeing the women take control of these things. You're seeing the women take control of the decisions, the leadership making, all these things. And that only reinforces the inverted energetic polarities. Um, so think about it. Think about how, do some work on how you can re-invert those polarities to the correct position so that you don't get these subconscious and unconscious resentments towards each other. Because now I'm very aware. I'm very, very aware. I'm very, very, very observant of my interactions with women on this energetic polarity. And oftentimes, now I live in Europe. France is one of the most fucked up, you know what I mean? Like it's very, very feminist, very these things, right? But because I've done the work internally to be and have the perception of that energetic conversion, I know how to cultivate an energy that draws out the feminine from the deepest aspects of that woman that she doesn't even know she has. And I've gotten compliments on it. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, hey, you know what I mean? Like, it's real shit. What I'm telling you is real shit. And she will thank you for that because that's what she wants. Just as much as you want it as a guy, just as much as you as a guy, deep down, you could say, I don't want to, but you want to be the fucking man, bro. You want to feel like the fucking man. And your girl wants you to be the fucking man. So be the fucking man. That's it.